Friday, everyone. As we continue to look at the new normal, we look back at what the pandemic did to Americans' careers, jobs, and budgets. As COVID-19 brought on unprecedented financial issues for companies forced to restructure, many Americans found themselves retiring early or being laid off, questioning what they do for a living or simply how they live. BNC's Stephanie Bertini breaks down the trends and lessons learned.
The financial impact of COVID-19 undeniable. The pandemic brought the reality of finances to the forefront for millions of Americans whose careers and livelihoods were cut short or left hanging in the balance. Job loss, early retirements, and new starts, all themes we saw in this pandemic. Whether it's your life passion or something you simply do for money, work is essential to living.
The pandemic really threw us into a whirlwind of trying to figure it out. Was the money worth risking your life?
Michael Newman works in real estate, one of the few fields that boomed in this pandemic and didn't take a hit. But professionally, he still had to adapt.
Real estate got really crazy. Real estate didn't go down, it went up, but it was very risky for us because you have this great demand, but then you have people afraid to let people in their houses because they don't know if they're sick. Right. You have people that are afraid to leave their houses because they don't know if they're going to get sick. You got elderly. So it was a very, very hard adjustment.
Job stresses aside, Newman knows he's fortunate to have a steady career in the midst of all the job shakeup the pandemic caused. His career giving him a window into it all.
Because I worked with so many different people in so many different industries, you have people who decided, I'm never going back to work. They rather just collect unemployment. I'm going to die. My job doesn't love me. They don't care about me. They're making me work for no reason. So it was a lot.
Financial behavior expert Stacy Tisdale has been monitoring the trends and changes in the pandemic.
The pandemic, it just changed everything, and it changed a lot of people's perspective on their lives.
She says it all led to the perfect storm for changes. We saw early retirements, layoffs, and career changes in most every facet of the workforce.
So many companies had to pivot, change their business model, see their cash flows, customers disappear, that a lot of them did things like lay off workers, did the best they can with their workers, offer them early retirements, furlough workers. So you had that dynamic going on, but at the same time, the pandemic, it just changed everything, and it changed a lot of people's perspective on their lives.
In life, there's going to be trials. Those trials take many forms, financial, relationship, health. The pandemic was kind of a trifecta, right, of all of those three things. We had people who lost their jobs and therefore were financially stressed. Certainly lockdowns led to all sorts of yet to be discovered mental and other emotional hardships. And then certainly, sadly, people died. But the one thing that we can guarantee about trials and tribulations is that there will be financial tribulations in our lifetime. We saw it in 2001 with the tech bubble. We saw it in 2008 with the real estate bubble.
Kevin Coppola is a financial expert. He runs a company called Compass dedicated to financial wellness, retirement readiness, and facilitating the possibility of investments that will pay off in the golden years. He says the pandemic highlights just how important having finances in order and preparing for the long term really is.
We have a second chance, and we have a wake-up call. Again, it's not the first time that we've got this wake-up call, but perhaps for many of your people, because of the devastation in the other areas of the pandemic, this might be the wake-up call that they really need to step back and look at their life. And if you'd like, I can share kind of my philosophy of you can at least position yourself so that you don't have financial stress in life, which leads to all sorts of other nasty things.
For this man, although he didn't suffer in the financial arena too much, he took stock of other areas in his life where there were deficits. So much so, he made changes.
I ended up relocating to Miami from up north, so I came from Washington, D.C.
Changes which would allow him to get more out of life while he continues to work and or when he decides to stop.
Good retirement place.
Being in Florida helps tremendously.
For him, the lesson was simple. Take life a little slower. There's more to life than work.
Your health is now your wealth.
And for those who were able to choose early retirement in this pandemic, it seems the overwhelming reason was getting more out of life. According to the experts, surely this pandemic has some embracing the golden years early, while it has others thinking about retirement more than ever. In Miami, I'm Stephanie Bertini for BNC.